Hey everybody, it's Michael from Wahoo Comics here with another haul and speculation video. And as usual, I've got a bunch of books I'm looking forward to showing you. Plus, at the end of the video, I've got a cool story about an awesome friend of mine. But first, let's get to these books. So to start us off, I recently picked up some Silver Age keys that I wanted to show you, including this one, Strange Tales number 126. Now this is an especially cool book because it's actually a double key. First of all, it contains the first appearance of Dormammu. And that's why I especially love this book, because if you've been watching my channel, you know that I love collecting the first appearances of villains. And it's especially neat to have the first appearance of a villain who is the arch nemesis of one of the main characters in Marvel. And so I'm super excited for that reason. And in terms of speculation, that means that this book would just steadily probably climb over time because he is an important character. But he's already been in the MCU, so there's not a lot of necessarily spec potential for the future. Though Marvel's doing more of bringing back old villains, so you never know. But the real reason that this has a lot of speculation value is because of the second reason it's a key, and that's because it contains the first appearance of Clea, or Clea. I don't know exactly how you say her name, but as you might know, she is one of the most important romantic interests of Doctor Strange, and they were even married for a while in the comics. And there's rumors that she might be even in this upcoming Doctor Strange movie. Some even think Charlize Theron has signed on to play her part. Now, I don't know whether that's true or not, but I do think it's inevitable that at some point she shows up in the MCU. And I think it's going to be sooner rather than later. And the reason I think that is because she's recently had a much more prominent role in the comics. And I don't want to spoil too much if you haven't kept up with Doctor Strange, but her role in the comics is, exponentially grown recently. And this isn't, again, always true, but often when a character starts becoming a bigger deal in the comics, it's because they're preparing to introduce this character in the movies and they want them to be a bigger deal when you see them. And so since Clea is becoming a bigger deal in the comics, I think she's on her way to the MCU. And I hope it is in the upcoming Doctor Strange movie, though I don't know how they're going to fit her in because there's already so many other characters that are going to be there, so I don't know. We'll see. Another Strange Tales book I got that is pretty cool is Strange Tales number 158. And this contains the first appearance of the Living Tribunal. Now, if you've been watching my videos, you know that I've been talking about how Marvel has been expanding the cosmic corner of the MCU. And so there are some people who think that this character might be introduced at some point in the not too distant future. And in fact, if you saw the Loki show, there was a point where they were exploring the void in that show, and there was a statue of the Living Tribunal there. Now, the big question is, was that statue there as a teaser for what's coming to foreshadow something? Or was it just like an Easter egg so that people like me would be like, cool, I know that statue. That's not just some random three-headed creature, but it's the Living Tribunal. I don't know. But either way, this is a Silver Age book. It's an important cosmic character in it, and I think it'll climb in value steadily over time. And then, of course, if he comes in the MCU, will really explode in value. All right, I've got another first appearance of a villain. Another one of my favorites is here in Tales of Suspense number 96, and this contains the first appearance of MODOK. Now, MODOK is one of my favorite villains of all time because he's just so over the top. If you haven't seen MODOK, hopefully you can see him a little bit here, but he's basically this giant head on this little body. And he was kind of created. I don't think he's really a robot, but like this just creation, science creation, kind of like a Frankenstein type character. And MODOK stands for mechanized organism designed only for killing. And he's just this, again, just kind of weird character. And I've really especially enjoyed him in the comics over the last few years because he's taken a turn for the good side and works on the side of the heroes and Shield and other agencies like that. But he's still an organism designed only for killing. So he tries to do good, but it's usually through these kind of barbaric, horrific ways, or somebody has to stop him before he does something crazy. But I think he's an hilarious character. So I'm happy to add this first appearance. And in regards to like speculation value, as you might know, there was in this past year an animated series on Hulu where he was the star. And so this book was really hot about a year ago, but that show I don't think really was received too terribly well. So this book has cooled off some, but there are rumors that he's going to come to the live action MCU. And at one point there was a rumor that Jim Carrey was going to portray his character, which I think would be pretty cool. Most recently, there's been thoughts or rumors that Carrie Stoll, who portrayed Yellow Jacket in the first Ant-Man, is going to be MODOK. And so I don't know what that would mean. I think in the Ant-Man movie, it kind of looked like Yellow Jacket died. So what I'm guessing is AIM, who creates MODOK, they're like these evil scientists, they get Yellow Jacket's body and maybe turn him into MODOK. I think that's what would have to happen if it is Corey Stoll. And so there's rumors that he is going to be in Quantumania, this character, and that would be obviously a great fit for the former Yellow Jacket to be in that movie. So we'll see. All right, we'll move into the Bronze Age. I got a couple of cool horror comics, starting off with this one, Marvel Spotlight #2, which contains the first appearance of Werewolf by Night. Now, I'm a huge fan of gothic horror, so I love these kind of characters. Like, this is basically the Wolfman of Marvel Comics. And I think it's also not only just a cool book, but a great one to consider investing in right now, because it has been confirmed that Disney Plus is going to have a Halloween special. I think it's this Halloween, 2022, but it's possible it's next year, but I think it's this year. A Halloween special centered around Werewolf by Night. And so I fully expect that once the trailer for that special drops, that this book will go way up in value. Now, another book to consider investing in that I don't have that's a much more budget-friendly comic is the most recent Werewolf by Night #1, which I think came out in like 2020, because it introduces a different Werewolf by Night. This is Jack Russell, and the most recent Werewolf by Night, though, is Jake Gomez. And people don't know which one of those characters are going to be the one that Disney uses for that Halloween special. Now, if I were a betting man, I actually think it's going to be Jake Gomez, the most recent one. And I think that for two reasons. First of all, it's clear Marvel and Disney are trying to make the MCU more diverse. And so if they wanted to continue along that trajectory, then of course having a Hispanic Werewolf by Night would be something that would be really easy to do. And kind of along those lines, the second reason is there has been an actor confirmed to portray that character, and it's Gael Garcia Bernal, who is, of course, Hispanic. And, it would make sense that a Hispanic actor is going to be portraying a Hispanic Werewolf by Night. Now, of course, if you've seen the Eternals, there are characters there who were white in the comics, but were their race was changed in the movie, but they still maintain the original name. So it's possible you could have just Jack Russell have the name, but it's just a Hispanic actor, and so it's not Jake Gomez. That's certainly possible. But my guess, my bet is it's going to be Jake Gomez. But even if it is, I think this book will go way up, because even if it's Jack Russell, but the show is Jake Gomez, it's still the first appearance of the character people really care about, which would be Werewolf by Night. And one other cool gothic horror book I got from Marvel Bronze Age is the Monster Frankenstein #1, which contains the first appearance of Frankenstein in Marvel Comics. Now, he was actually in Atlas Comics, which was kind of the predecessor to Marvel, but this is his first appearance in Marvel itself, and so I think it's a cool book to have, a cool book from that 70s horror era that Marvel was putting out, and so glad to pick it up. All right, and that brings me to my sleeper of the week, and I actually have two because they're so closely related. I'm going to keep them together. First of all, we have The Submariner, number 19, and I was able to find both of these books for just a few bucks. And if you can do that, I highly recommend picking them up. You have to do certainly some hunting to do that. But this contains the first appearance of Stingray. Now, if you've been watching my videos, you know that I'm a big fan of investing in keys around the Namor character right now because there's heavy speculation, and I think where there's smoke, there's a lot of fire, that Namor is going to be in the Black Panther movie coming up, and then it's going to kind of spin off into some of his own properties. And if that happens, then of course they're going to have to introduce characters that are associated with him, and I could definitely see Stingray making his appearance somewhere in the next 2 or 3 years. I don't think in the Black Panther movie, but maybe a year or two after that, the next time Namor shows up. Who knows? Like I said, if you can find it for a few bucks, definitely pick it up. And then also the very next issue, Submariner number 20. And this contains the first battle between Namor and Doctor Doom. And the reason why that is significant is because another rumor about the Black Panther movie is that at the end credits, you're going to see Doctor Doom. And if that happens, I'm going to freak out in the theater because Doctor Doom is my favorite villain. I collect villains, and he's my favorite villain. I think my all-time grail, except for maybe Amazing Fantasy 15, is to get Fantastic Four number 5, the first appearance of Doctor Doom. And it makes sense that he would be at the end of that movie because he has a lot of history both with the Black Panther in Wakanda and with Namor as well. And in fact, the first ever supervillain team-up, at least in Marvel Comics, was Namor and Doctor Doom. And then that team-up didn't go too well, and so not too long after they had this battle in Submariner number 20. And so if they end up fighting at any point in the MCU, I think people are going to be looking for this book. But regardless, I love all these Submariner covers. I think they're really beautiful, and anytime I get a Doctor Doom cover, I'm pretty excited. All right, well, those are the books, and now it's time for the story. So Wednesday night, I got off of work pretty late. I was working from home. I had some Zoom calls. And I got off the calls, and before going to bed, I was like, well, I'm going to open up YouTube and just relax for a little bit, unwind. And so I got to YouTube, and all of a sudden I had a bunch of notifications, and of course I went and checked what they were, and there were a bunch of comments on a video that I put out, I think about a month ago now. It's the one that's, if you go back in my videos, my best haul ever. And so I went and looked at these comments, and they're all like, oh, nice books, of course. Then hashtag Switch. And if you have been watching my videos, you know, several months ago, I interviewed Marco from Switch Comics on my channel, and I did a video on his channel. And since then, we've stayed in touch and become friends, and I've really enjoyed getting to know him and talk to him and run ideas by each other. He's been a really helpful resource to me. And so I saw all these hashtags Switch on these comments, and I thought to myself, I think obviously Marco must have sent these guys over. And so he actually had a live stream going on at the time. And so I went and plugged in real quick and found out that he has changed the way that he's doing his giveaways. And so, you know, he does a giveaway basically like every 100 subscribers. And how he had been doing them was that if you left a comment on a video, you got an entry into a drawing that once he reached these number of subscribers, 500, 600, whatever, you could win some comics. Well, what he has decided to do is basically the same idea, comments equal entries into a drawing, but instead of asking for comments on his video, he's going to start picking a video from another channel and saying, hey, go leave a comment on this person's channel, subscribe to their channel, and hashtag switch, so I'll be able to see that you left the comment. And if you do that, then you'll be entered into the drawing. And I was just blown away by that. How thoughtful he was to do that, to not only be concerned about his own channel, but to really have a real desire to help out other channels as well. I was just super impressed, super inspired to think, oh yeah, man, I want to be that kind of content creator. Obviously I want to grow my channel, but I want to help others grow their channel as well. And I don't know all what that fully means, but what a great member of the comic collecting community that he is. And so I really want to say thank you to him. I think he'll see this video, and I really appreciate it. And if you watch the comic collector spotlight I did with him, something I always say in those interviews that I've done is, one of the things I love about comic collecting is how these stories that we read become a part of our personal stories, and just how they change who we know and how we interact. And I think it's so cool, like in this case, for instance, that there's this guy who lives in another state who I, under any other circumstance, would never even know existed. But because of comics and because of YouTube, we've gotten to know each other, and again, now we're friends. And I just think that whole thing about the hobby is pretty special. And so thank you once again, Marco. I'm going to put a link to his channel in my description. If you haven't checked his channel out or subscribed to him, of course I would encourage you to go do that. He didn't ask me to do that. I just obviously want to return the favor as well as I can. And I certainly didn't ask him to do anything with the giveaway. That's what's just so impressive to me. I didn't even know it was going to happen. He didn't even tell me beforehand. He really wanted to obviously help out. And so go check him out. Subscribe to him if you haven't, and help him grow. He's past 700 subscribers now and is on his way to 800. All right. Well, before I go, I've got a question of the week. Of course, I showed the first appearances of the Werewolf by Night and the monster Frankenstein in Marvel Comics. So my question is, what is your favorite horror character? Particularly gothic horror? Well, maybe, I won't even say that. Just your favorite horror character. I'm going to pick Dracula for me. I love him just because not only is he just obviously so powerful and so hard to kill, but he's just so cool. Like Frankenstein's just, I like Frankenstein a lot, but he's just a brute, right? And the werewolf's just kind of a brute. Most monsters are like, brutes. But Dracula is just cool and smooth and still super powerful. And so if I were going to be a monster, that's who I would want to be, and he's my favorite. But who is your favorite? Leave a comment about that or anything else you want to talk about comics. Of course, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, then I'd appreciate if you consider doing so. And even if you don't like me, what Marco said in his channel is that he's trying to get me to 200 subscribers. So help him feel good about what he did by subscribing to me. Help me get to those 200 subscribers. And of course, I would really appreciate that. Like the video, all those things that help with the old algorithm, as I always say. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed making it, and look forward to the next time.